dog chasing its tail. I mean, you know, dog got a flea on its tail or a tick or something, and it gets so exasperated and wound up that it just starts chasing its tail around. And that's what this hearing kind of reminds me about, because it's not really, this is not an impeachment hearing, is it, Professor Turley?
No, it's not an impeachment.
Yeah, and there's some obligations that the Judiciary Committee must fulfill in terms of actually instituting an impeachment proceeding against someone. Isn't that correct?
As far as I understand, this is not part of a formal impeachment procedure.
Yeah, I mean, we've got an obligation to independently investigate the allegations against the accused official in this committee if it were an impeachment process. Isn't that correct?
The House is given that responsibility to determine if there's a basis for impeachment.
The Judiciary Committee of the House of Representatives is given that responsibility. Isn't that correct?
It's my understanding, yes.
And what due process considerations would we owe an accused official in a House Judiciary impeachment proceeding? We would have to afford that individual the right to counsel. Isn't that correct?
Well, the question of due process is a little tougher in the sense that the Constitution...
My question is just we would have to give that individual the focus of our impeachment inquiry, an opportunity to be represented by counsel. Isn't that correct?
I'm not too sure, because the Constitution itself does not specify that you have that right.
Well, it's been our custom.
It has been our custom. We were on opposite sides in the Porteous impeachment,
yes,
and you certainly did afford that opportunity to my client.
And it's only correct that we would do that. We would have the obligation to afford that target a right to an opening statement, right?
In the past, there has been due process given to the accused.
And we would give the accused the right to cross-examine any witnesses against him or her. Isn't that correct?
That's a decision of the committee, but in the past that has occurred.
And that person would have a right to present their own witnesses in an impeachment proceeding. Isn't that correct?
Once again, if the committee allows it, and it certainly has happened in the past.
Well, you couldn't impeach somebody without giving them the right to have an attorney and the right to confront the witnesses against them through cross-examination. Isn't that a fact?
Well, if you're asking as a constitutional matter whether you have to give that right to an accused, my answer is probably no, that the Constitution doesn't require that.
I am sure, Professor Turley, that if you were representing the accused, as you were with the Porteous impeachment process, you would insist on those basic notions of due process, and I
would indeed.
I know that you would. And so what we're doing here has no relationship to an impeachment proceeding. We shouldn't give the public the false impression that this is about impeachment. This is about the dog chasing his tail. Now, how long have we been chasing the tail on this case? It was back in, March of 2015, or October of 2015, when the Department of Justice declared that no criminal charges should issue out of the original investigation. Isn't that correct, Professor Gerhardt?
Yes, sir.
And since then, Congress has been chasing its tail round and round.
Will the gentleman yield?
No, I won't. And here we are, while we've had one mass shooting after another in this country since October of 2015, we've had Congress, instead of holding hearings on what we can do to protect the public from gun violence, what kind of gun reform legislation we can even have a hearing on, and consider why would it be that an individual who has been on a federal terrorism watch list twice would be in a position of purchasing a firearm, no questions asked. not one hearing on that, but here we continue to chase our tail on the IRS so-called scandal. With that, Mr. Chairman, I will yield back in exasperated frustration.
The chair recognizes the gentleman from Arizona, Mr. Franks, for 5 minutes.